Welcome back to Fantasy Football by Committee, powered by Flurry Sports. It can be tough to win a fantasy league on your own, but at FFBC, we will work together to bring home the hardware. Hosted by Zach Brunner and the rest of the Flurry Sports crew, we will give top-level analysis, answer your questions, and, well, go off on other tangents.
That was after I tried to get ChatGPT to admit that 9/11 was an inside job, but it stood firm. It gave quite a few solid points that it was true.
Welcome to Fantasy Football by Committee. The show starts in 3, 2, 1.
So good. Let's talk about some of the trending fantasy football players on Sleeper Fantasy. These are the most picked up players over the past 24 hours. And it's not surprising to see the number one most trending player on Sleeper Fantasy, Keaton Mitchell, rookie running back for the Baltimore Ravens. This is a person we talked about, a player I talked about probably about a month ago at this point. I really liked him. I thought you should pick him up. I thought he could do something. And then the Ravens were so slow to bring him in to do anything, really. He was activated. He was hurt to start the year, so activated. Practice window opened. They drug it a little bit to even make him active. Once he was active, he didn't really do anything. And thanks to the blowout of the Seattle Seahawks this past week, Keaton Mitchell got some run, and boy, did he fucking impress. This dude's so good. I think he fits this Baltimore Ravens team really well. He can certainly be the lightning to Gus Edwards' thunder, as I said, I think a month ago at this point. But now, people are saying this is the number one fantasy football pickup of the week. He's the most trending fantasy football player of the week. And we need to use our brains a little bit here. Like, I like Keaton Mitchell. In Dynasty, he has to be owned. In redraft, he probably should be owned at this point. But to say that he is the most sought after player this week, the biggest pickup, like let's look into what the situation was. Let's use a little bit of, let's add context to this situation. So Keaton Mitchell played 18% of the snaps. He had 9 carries, 138 yards and a touchdown, had 1 catch for -4 yards. And again, the Ravens beat the shit out of the Seahawks in the first half, really. First quarter for sure. First half, really. Gus Edwards, Justice Hill split the backfield. And then towards the end of the game, you know, they were up by 30 points. Gus Edwards didn't even log a single snap in the fourth quarter. Same thing with Zay Flowers. I think Mark Andrews played 1 snap. They just let these young guys, these other guys, get some run. And Keaton Mitchell, you know, took the opportunity and literally ran with it. But now people are saying this guy needs to be the pickup. Look how good he is. At best, he's number 3 in a 3-man committee. Let's just put that out there for sure. Again, last time I did a video like this, people fucking torched me. I love Keaton Mitchell. I think Keaton Mitchell is a great talent. I think he should be over Justice Hill. He's not going to be. Gus Edwards, RB1. Maybe Keaton Mitchell can eventually like build up his, you know, role to jump ahead of Justice Hill, but it's not going to be now. Like next week, if it's a close game, I think the most optimistic projection for Keaton Mitchell is going to be like 5 carries. Like there's no shot. It's a blowout and everyone's rushing to pick him up. Don't do that. Don't be that person. Don't use your waiver priority. Don't blow all your fab. Don't do anything like that on Keaton Mitchell. This is the product of a blowout. And you don't need to be that person to spend all your fab and then get burnt because Keaton Mitchell doesn't play next week. You know, Stoof has held Keaton on IR until he came back, then dropped him because he didn't play. Yeah, I mean, I kind of did the same thing. I picked him up in one of the dynasty leagues, and then held him. Like I held him too long, seemingly. Like multiple games where he didn't play or saw a snap, didn't do anything. Then I finally dropped him. I don't even remember who I picked up. I picked up somebody with maybe it wouldn't have been Pop Douglas. I don't remember. I picked up somebody, but now I'm going to have to add him back. But I have him in the other Dynasty League. I have him in a couple of other leagues. I love Keaton Mitchell. East Carolina, I believe, product. Super quick, super fast. I think he is a great complement to Gus Edwards. But like, we can't trust him on third downs because he can't pass protect. He's not really, well, he's for sure not a short yardage guy. He's not in the middle of the field guy that much over these other running backs. So like, what's his role? He's the fourth runner out of the backfield if we're factoring in Lamar Jackson. There's just no real point to make him the priority. Let everybody else go for the shiny object, and then we will talk about some of these other players that maybe are more worth your pickup. Stoof, Gus, and Lamar touchdown vultures have to score 20, 30 yard touchdowns to be relevant. Yeah. I mean, truthfully, what's he? Like 5'8", maybe at best? 5'8", 191. I think that's generous. Of Keaton Mitchell. He's small. He's not going to be a goal line guy. He's going to have to be a home run guy, which he is. Like skill set wise, he is, but he's not going to have the role. He's just not. And then next week, by the way, he plays Cleveland, which is a nightmare. Then he plays Cincinnati, which is tough. Then he plays the Chargers, which you can run against, but the Chargers can score as well. That's not going to be a blowout. And then it's a bye week. And then the Rams, which maybe that could be a blowout, depending on the health of Stafford and everything else. But boy, you do not want Keaton Mitchell in redraft. There's no reason. There's no reason. We got to be smart here. And I know viewers of this channel are smart. So I know we're not going to be the ones to go do that. But over the past 24 hours, he's been picked up in over half a million leagues. That's not saying much. He's still rostered in only 3% of sleeper fantasy leagues. But boy, again, context. I'm probably late. I'm sure you probably talked about it. But is that rookie running back for Baltimore a good pickup? Give you the skinny on it. I mean, he didn't get any work until it was a blowout. At best, he is going to be the third player in a 3-back committee, and that's not even including Lamar Jackson. Like, it's going to be Gus Edwards. It's going to be Justice Hill, then Keaton Mitchell. I love Keaton Mitchell. I think he's super talented. I think he deserves a role. But it was they were up by 30 points. So, in deeper leagues, I think he should be owned, like 16 team. In Dynasty, he absolutely needs to be owned. But if you're like in a 10 or 12 team redraft league, no reason. Absolutely no reason. I don't think he's fantasy relevant again unless one of the other running backs gets hurt. Of course, we've seen Baltimore running backs drop like flies, so it's certainly possible. But he did nothing to usurp Gus Edwards. And Justice Hill, I think, is still pretty clearly ahead. He's the 2-minute guy. He's the third down guy. So, like, we're not putting Keaton Mitchell out there to pass protect. And if he's not out there to pass protect, then he's probably not out there to run routes either. So, no reason. No real reason. You're just hoping for an injury or another 30-point blowout. And I don't feel comfortable predicting either.